Welcome to the revolution. We've entered into the most turbulent time in all of human history, with changes happening more often, more rapidly, and more unpredictably than ever before. And the only thing we know about the future is that it will be faster changing and more unpredictable than the present. Your job is to learn how to survive and thrive in the months and years ahead, and this program is designed to help you do exactly that. I have studied, practiced, and taught in the area of human potential development for more than 30 years. I left high school without graduating and worked at laboring jobs, drifting from place to place until well into my 20s. The turning point came for me when I was about 24. I began to ask the question, why is it that some people are more successful than others? Why is it that some people make more money, have nicer homes and cars, enjoy better lives and relationships, have better health, and seem to get far more satisfaction out of life? And at the same time, why is it that the great majority are frustrated and unhappy with their current levels of achievement? Why is it that so few people realize their full potentials for living? The Bible says, "Seek and ye shall find, for all who seek findeth." Searching for the answer to the question about success led to my first breakthrough. I learned that if you could find out what the most successful people did in any area, and then you did the same thing over and over, you would eventually get the same results as they do. This idea is so simple that most people have passed it over without noticing it. Yet in every field, the people at the top were once at the bottom. When they were at the bottom, they studied the people at the top and they did what they were doing. As a result, they moved ahead rapidly and eventually they were at the top themselves. And their success had very little to do with luck or being at the right place in the right time. People create their own success by learning what they need to learn and then by practicing it until they become proficient at it. It's no miracle. This discovery that learning what you need to learn is the key to accomplishing anything you want to accomplish changed my life. I had been spinning my wheels in sales for a year. When I learned this secret, I immediately began interviewing the top salespeople, reading books written by the top salespeople, and listening to audio tapes produced by top salespeople, and attending seminars given by top salespeople. In one more year, I was at the top of my sales force and earning more money than I'd ever dreamed possible. When I became a sales manager, I applied the same principles. I talked to other successful sales managers. I read books on management. I listened to tapes and took courses on management. In no time, I had 95 people working for me, and I was in charge of 6 countries. And again, the amount of money that I was earning was more than I had ever expected, even as a successful salesman. Later, when I got into real estate development, I applied the same principles. I read all the books, articles, and magazines I could find. I talked to other people who were successful in real estate development. I attended lectures given by experts in real estate. I took courses and got a real estate license. Over the next few years, I bought, developed, leased, sold, and otherwise disposed of more than $50 million worth of real estate. I moved from a rented apartment to a condominium to a home to an even bigger home. I went from driving an old car to a new car and then to a new Mercedes. I went from traveling by car and staying with friends to traveling by jet and staying in the best hotels. And the incredible thing was that as I moved from city to city and from career to career, the same attitude toward learning applied in every case. And it will apply for you if you use it on a regular and systematic basis. Let me repeat. The great breakthrough in your life comes when you realize that you can learn anything you need to learn to accomplish any goal that you can set for yourself. Wow! This means that there are no limits on what you can be, have, or do. All you have to do is decide what you want, then decide what you have to learn and be able to do to achieve it, and then get busy. It may take you a week, or a month, or a year, but your success is inevitable using this simple approach. I became so impressed with the power of learning to change a person's life that in 1980 I began studying the subject of learning in greater depth. Along with my studies in sales, management, psychology, philosophy, history, and metaphysics, I also studied the workings of the human mind and the learning process. What I found was quite amazing. I found that instead of being boring, frustrating, painstaking hard work, learning was really enjoyable, entertaining, and highly effective. I began practicing some of the concepts of accelerated learning, including the use of relaxation, music, visualization, memorization techniques, and whole brain learning methodologies. I soon found that I could read, learn, remember, apply, and get better results faster using these methods than I ever could before. I became so excited with these ideas that I began teaching them in my courses and seminars. Soon others began to get the same results as well. Meanwhile, in England, an extremely successful entrepreneur, businessman, and intellectual, Colin Rose, was pursuing a similar path, focusing single-mindedly on learning and synthesizing everything that had been found over the years on accelerated learning into books and programs that anyone could use to dramatically increase the speed at which they learned any subject. Colin's book, Accelerated Learning, has become an international bestseller and has made him one of the foremost experts on accelerated learning in the world. And here is Colin Rose.
Hello, I'm Colin Rose, and I'd like to tell you how accelerated learning developed and what it will do for you. Over the years, I've spent literally thousands of hours pursuing my passion, which is the discovery of how people can use more of their phenomenal brain capacity. I've explored extensive research on the brain and on how memory works, on intelligence, and on how people learn. As a result, we've built the methods of accelerated learning into a system that's really powerful. What emerged from my research is this proven fact. You learn best in a low-stress environment and when you can make best use of your personal learning style. If the way that information reaches you exactly matches the way that you prefer to learn, you'll truly be learning naturally. And when you're learning naturally, you're also learning easily, effectively, and quickly, which is why we call the method accelerated learning. We've applied the accelerated learning method to educational and personal and corporate training with, it's fair to say, spectacular results. An independent study showed that 10 times as many students got top grades using accelerated learning compared with those using conventional methods. A major US telephone company cut its training times in half using this method, saving over $1 million a year in the process. But the application of accelerated learning, which excites me most, is the one that you're listening to right now. A program that will teach you how to learn, and thereby reach your true potential. I have a goal which I'm determined to reach. I want to see everyone, from children to adults, acquire the tools and the motivation to realize their dreams. I've seen the incredible impact that accelerated learning has on people's lives, and I hope that when you've experienced it too, you'll be just as excited as I am about this dynamic breakthrough in personal achievement. So now let's return to Brian and discover how you can reap the benefits by joining this learning revolution.
It took thousands of years for man to pass from the agricultural age into the industrial age. The industrial age came and went faster than any other age in history, starting about 1815 and officially ending in the last few years as we passed into the information age. Throughout the developed world, we have moved from manpower to mind power. We have moved from the use of physical muscles to the use of mental muscles. Today, the chief sources of value in our society are knowledge and the ability to apply that knowledge in a timely fashion. In the information age, knowledge is king, and those people who develop the ability to continuously acquire new and better forms of knowledge that they can apply to their work and to their lives will be the movers and shakers and leaders in our society for the indefinite future. Peter Drucker says that the truly educated person today is a person who has learned how to learn continuously and throughout life. John Naisbitt says that the only real skill that matters in the world of tomorrow is the ability to learn what you need to know on a regular basis. Tom Peters says that continuous learning may be the only real source of sustainable competitive advantage for individuals and corporations. Peter Senge, who wrote The Fifth Dimension, says that only learning organizations, those organizations that are capable of taking in new information, adapting it, and using it faster than their competitors, will survive in the fast-changing, competitive world of tomorrow. It's been said that there are 3 types of people. There are those who make things happen, there are those who watch things that are happening, and then there are the vast majority who simply say, "What happened?" The great majority of people are walking around today saying, "What happened? What happened?" They don't understand that our society has gone through a fundamental transformation and things will never be the same again. We have entered into the information age, and knowledge is the raw material of production and value in this age. It used to be that the main difference between people in our society was between those who have more and those who have less. Today, however, the difference is between those who know more and those who know less. Wealth today is no longer contained in land, labor, capital, factories, fixtures, and raw materials, as it has been throughout human history. Today, the greatest single source of wealth is between your ears. Today, wealth is contained in brain power, not brute power. The most sophisticated and expensive multi-million-dollar factory can be rendered obsolete almost overnight with a change in technology. But this can never happen to your mind unless you allow it to happen. It is your ability to think that is your chief source of value. In fact, you are a mind with a body to carry it around in. Your house could burn down, your car could be stolen, your bank account could be looted, and your job could disappear, but you could still walk across the street, and by using your brain power, you could begin immediately to pump thousands of dollars per year into your life. A computer expert with the ability to create a $100 million empire in his mind could walk up to customs in New York with only the clothes on his back and say, "Nothing to declare." He could walk into this country or any country with $100 million worth of value between his ears and in terms of capital or goods have nothing to declare. This is an incredible thought. This has never occurred before in human history, and it will be the norm for the rest of our lives. Here's a question for you. What is your most valuable asset? In terms of cash flow, what is the most valuable thing you have? Well, unless you're very rich or have a family trust account, your most valuable asset is your earning ability. It is your ability to earn money. It's your ability to apply your knowledge and skill in a timely fashion to get results for which others will pay. All your education, knowledge, experience, reading, training, and work has contributed toward building up your earning ability. People who live in big homes and drive expensive cars are those who've concentrated an enormous amount of time and attention on increasing their earning ability. According to the research, the so-called rich in America and in other countries are almost invariably people who started from common beginnings, often with great disadvantages, but who overcame their backgrounds by investing an enormous amount of time and effort on developing their earning ability over the years. They have invested in learning more than others have about how to do the sort of things that the market was willing to pay them for. And you can do the same thing starting today or at any time. The future belongs to the competent. The future belongs to those people who stay ahead of the curve. The future belongs to those people who are engaged in a lifelong process of learning what they need to learn to do what they need to do in an excellent fashion. And if you're not moving forward, you are actually moving backward. No one is staying in the same place in the fastest moving society in all of human history. General Douglas MacArthur once said, "There is no security in life, only opportunity." And the great opportunity for you, an almost unlimited opportunity, comes from learning how to learn faster and easier, and then by doing it throughout all the years of your life. In the coming sessions, you're going to learn the finest methods and techniques ever discovered on how to unlock the incredible powers of your brain. You're going to learn how to become smarter, faster than ever before. You're going to learn how to become a master of your circumstances rather than a victim of your circumstances. You're going to learn how to take complete control of your present and future destiny so that you can accomplish and achieve anything you really want in life. The answer to almost every question in the world of work, the solution to almost every problem, is to learn and practice something new and different. And with accelerated learning techniques, you will be able to do this easier and faster than any of the people around you. By using the incredible power of your brain to absorb and apply new ideas and information, you will be able to genuinely lead the field and rise to the top of any profession or occupation. As recently as the 50s and 60s, it was common to believe that you finished your schooling, got a job with a large company, and stayed with that company for the rest of your life. This was based on the old paradigm of learning. In this old paradigm, life was divided into three parts. First, there were your learning years, where you got your education, however extensive or limited. This lasted until about the age of 20 or so. Then came your earning years. This was the period of time during which you worked until approximately age 65. After that came your yearning years. This was the period of retirement that would be paid for by Social Security, savings, and pensions. In this old model, learning was something that you did during your formative years, and then you never had to do it again. In the new paradigm of education and employment, a person starting work today can expect to have 5 full careers and 14 full-time jobs lasting 2 years or more over the course of their working lifetime. As many as 50% of people working today are in the first year of employment in their current jobs or positions. With knowledge doubling every 2 to 3 years, jobs are becoming obsolete at the rate of 30 to 50% per year. An engineer coming out of school today is better educated and more skilled with state-of-the-art tools and concepts than an engineer who graduated 5 years ago. Unless that engineer who graduated 5 years ago has kept current with the rapid changes in his profession, he can be replaced by a new graduate at perhaps half the salary he's receiving. There are many people today who are obsolete in their fields at 30 years of age. They bought into the old paradigm, and they've not read or kept current since they left school. Today, you must not only be asking, what is my next job going to be, but you must also be asking yourself, what is my next career going to be? Imagine for a moment that your entire industry vanished overnight, and you had to start again in a completely new business doing an entirely different job. What would it be? And don't think this question is speculative or that it applies to someone else. It's a question that you will probably have to deal with, and perhaps far sooner than you expect. In thinking about your new job and your new career, here are the most important questions of all. What skills do I have to have? What do I have to be absolutely positively excellent at doing in order to earn an excellent living in my new job and my new career? Remember, whatever got you to where you are today is not enough to keep you there. Unless you are continuously upgrading your knowledge and skills, you are becoming more obsolete each day. And if you're not happy with the results you're getting today, you must remember that the more you do of what you're doing, the more you'll get of what you've got. The first major paradigm shift that everyone must go through if they are going to become full-fledged participants in the information age is that of shifting from one-time learning to lifelong learning, from getting an education when you are young to getting an education all the days of your life. The second paradigm shift that is necessary for you to survive and thrive in the new world is that you must recognize that your most valuable asset is your earning ability. Just as you would take excellent care of an extremely expensive piece of equipment or machinery, you must take exquisite care of your earning ability. You must always be looking for ways to maintain it and preserve it. You must look for ways to enhance it and increase it. You must always be adding to your earning ability so that you can replace the inevitable 30 to 50% obsolescence that's occurring every year in your field. You must be continually upgrading your skills and replacing old skills with new ones. Every day, every week, you should feel that you are making forward progress in preserving and upgrading your earning ability. The third paradigm shift that has taken place in recent years is the shift from lifelong employment to lifelong employability. Many people are crying and complaining today about the fact that companies are no longer offering lifetime employment and security. But this is not a choice made by the companies. It's a choice that's forced upon companies by the competitive marketplace. Companies are laying off certain people and hiring others in order to survive, in order to stay alive in the most fast-changing dynamic economy that we've ever seen. Today, no one can expect lifelong employment, but you can create lifelong employability. This requires that you make an essential mind shift from seeing yourself as an employee to viewing yourself as self-employed. Earl Nightingale once said, "The biggest mistake you can ever make in life is to ever think that you work for anyone else but yourself." When I heard these words at the age of 28, I almost drove off the road. I was shocked. It was an overwhelming idea. I had always thought that my role in life was to go out and find someone else who would employ me and take care of me and Give me a paycheck at the end of the week or the month. But from that moment onward, I knew the truth. I was self-employed. I was working for myself. In fact, you are the president of your own personal services corporation. You are the president of an entrepreneurial organization of one, selling your services to your current employer and receiving fees in the form of a salary or commission for the value and results of what you do. You are, in fact, on your own payroll. You are your own boss. Over the long term, you determine the size of your own paycheck. If you're not happy with the amount you're earning, you can go and find a mirror and negotiate with your boss for an increase. It's your investment in your knowledge and skills and your application of that knowledge and those skills that determines how much you receive, and you can increase your knowledge and skills virtually without limit over time. As the president of your own personal services corporation, you are in charge of finance, production, marketing, quality control, and distribution. You're also in charge of R&D, of continually upgrading the quality and quantity of the products you are offering to your particular market. You're in charge of your own training department as well. As the president of your own company, you should have an ongoing personal and professional development program. Each month, each quarter, each year, you should have a learning project. Just as you make out a plan for a vacation or a trip to the supermarket, you should have a plan for what you need to learn and how you're going to learn it. You should allocate a certain amount of money and a certain number of hours each day, each week, each month to learn what you need to learn so that you can achieve the goals that you want to achieve. The central purpose of this entire audio cassette program is to show you how to learn those things you need to learn far faster and easier than ever before. From now on, by the way, when someone asks you what you do, you can tell them proudly, "I'm the president of my own company." When they say that they thought you worked for ABC Corporation, you can say confidently, "Yes, they're my best client." Remember, your current employer is merely your best client at the moment. You've not always worked for your existing client, and you will not always work for your existing client, but you will always work for yourself. You are the president of your own personal services corporation, and you are paid in direct proportion to the value of your services from the time you take your first job until the time you retire. And this is not optional. It's mandatory. It's not an idea where you have a choice. It's a fact, like the rain or the weather. And the sooner you accept it, the sooner you begin moving to the front in the information age. Today there are a series of buzzwords that are being used by companies everywhere. You can't turn around without hearing what I call the 7 R's. The 7 R's are first, reorganization. This means moving people and resources around in a company so that they produce more and better products and services. Second, there is restructuring. This means moving more resources to areas where they contribute greater value to the customer and discontinuing activities that customers are not willing to pay for. Third, companies are practicing re-engineering in a major way. Re-engineering is based on process analysis and the downsizing, eliminating, or outsourcing of lower value activities so that it takes fewer inputs to achieve the same level of outputs. Fourth, companies are reinventing themselves. They're continually looking at what they would do if they were starting over again today. They are looking into the future and determining what they have to do today in order to be a successful, profitable company 5 years from now. Fifth, companies are going through re-evaluation. They are looking at everything they can do to decide if this is the real business they want to be in. Sixth, companies are engaging in refocusing. Refocusing means concentrating their time, activities, and resources on the few things that they can do in an excellent fashion in a competitive marketplace. And finally, number 7, companies are determined to regain control of their financial destinies by becoming proactive and by making clear, specific decisions about what business they are really in and the direction in which they are going. Now, whenever you hear about companies going through the 7 big R's, You must remember that you are the president of your own company as well. The 7 R's apply to you personally just as they apply to corporations. You must be continually reorganizing yourself and your activities to focus on higher priority tasks. You must be restructuring what you do so that you are doing more of the things that contribute the greatest value to your current client and customers. You must be re-engineering your activities, continuously outsourcing, downsizing, and eliminating certain activities so that you can spend more time producing more of the things that make more of a difference in your life, both personally and professionally. You should be reinventing yourself every 6 months, continually thinking about what you want to do and be when you grow up. What is your next job going to be? What is your next career going to be? What do you have to change in your current world in order to be ready for the world of tomorrow? As an individual, you must constantly be re-evaluating yourself and every part of your life, recognizing that whatever the future may hold, it will be radically different from the present. You also need to be refocusing your mental, physical, and emotional energies on those parts of your life, both your family life and your work life, that are really important to you. Finally, as a result of applying the first 6 R's, you will have the experience of regaining control. You will feel that you are more in charge of your life rather than being battered around by the storms of fate and destiny. You will feel that you are a change master and that you are capable of learning the things you need to learn to achieve the financial security you want to accomplish. The deepest human need, according to psychologists, is the need for security, for a feeling of being secure physically, financially, and emotionally. Our greatest fear is to be deprived of our security. We fear failure, loss, criticism, embarrassment, disapproval, and so on, because they make us feel insecure and incapable of controlling our own lives and our own futures. In the world of rapid change that we're experiencing today, fears of insecurity are at an all-time high. Every change in the economy or new piece of technology that causes a change in our work or our lives makes us feel anxious and worried because we don't know what effect it's going to have on our feelings of happiness, well-being, and security. This is the primary reason why we fear change. We're afraid that we will be worse off after an unexpected and unpredicted change than we were before. This is also why we resist change. We think that if we fight the change, we will somehow be safer and more secure doing things the old way. But of course, this is a fool's game. There's no security in adhering to the old ways. The only security you can ever have is your ability to do a job uncommonly well. And what is required to do your job uncommonly well is changing and moving ahead every day. The way to achieve the lifelong security, high income, success, and prestige that you desire is to keep learning more about what you are doing so that you stay ahead of the curve rather than by being bowled over by the wave of change. Accelerated learning techniques are the tools you use to achieve your goals faster and with greater certainty than you ever could without them. Whenever you think about the things you want in life, in your personal life, your financial life, your career, your material accomplishments, like your home or car, your health, your family, your contribution to society, and so on, you realize that there's a gap between where you are and where you want to be. In fact, with regard to achievement, you are in the business of what is called gap analysis. Your job is to decide where you are and to decide where you want to go. You then analyze the gap between your current situation and your future desired situation, and you decide how to fill that gap. Once you've clearly defined a goal, you begin by asking yourself, what is holding me back from achieving my goal right now? What factors determine whether or not you achieve it in 1 week, 1 month, or 1 year? In other words, how do you bridge the gap between your current reality and your desired reality? In almost every case, you will find that your bridging materials are knowledge and skill. In order to get from where you are to where you want to go, you have to learn and practice something new and different. You have to learn new skills and abilities. You have to learn new attitudes and methods. You have to learn new techniques and practices. If you want to be a better parent, you must learn and practice better parenting skills. If you want to be a better spouse, you must study and practice relationship skills. If you want to earn more money, you have to determine what it is that people will pay more money for, and then get busy learning and practicing those behaviors. Harvard University's studies on motivation some years ago found that the experience of personal growth is one of the best of all motivators. When you feel yourself learning and growing and becoming more capable and competent, you get a natural high. You feel happy and exhilarated. You feel positive and excited about your life and your future. On the other hand, when people stop growing as the result of no longer learning new things, they begin to stagnate mentally. People who have stopped growing are far more prone to negativity, pessimism, fears, doubts, and anxiety. And you can throw these all off by deciding what it is you need to learn and by putting your whole heart into learning those things you need in a rapid, enjoyable way, as you'll discover in the sessions ahead. The good news, by the way, is that you are already an excellent learner. You have already learned thousands of things starting from infancy. By the time you were 6 years old, you had learned to recognize and use more than 5,000 words with ease. You've learned tremendous social skills. You've learned how to play a variety of sports, to ride a bicycle, drive a car, be a husband or a wife, and how to sell, manage, negotiate, motivate, communicate, and interact with hundreds and even thousands of different people. In fact, as you will learn in the next session, you are actually a brilliant human being. You have mental capacities that are far beyond anything that you have ever imagined. Accelerated learning does not require that you become something more or different than what you are. It simply shows you how to become far more of what you are already capable of becoming by extending what you have already been doing naturally all your life to learn the things that you have needed and wanted to learn. Like myself, many people have had negative experiences going to school. Because the way of teaching was not consistent with your individual way of learning, you may have had difficulties with various subjects. You may have experienced underachievement and even failure. You may have experienced negative comparisons with others who were getting excellent grades while you were struggling just to get by in your classes. You may have gone through the agony of poor report cards, failed tests and examinations, repetition of classes and courses, and a general feeling of inferiority when it came to learning new subjects. Well, you're not alone. This just happens to describe the school experiences of about 70 to 80% of the population. Fortunately, we've learned more in the last 15 years about how the brain functions and how to learn well than we have learned in all of human history. And what we know is that our current methods of teaching by no means fit in with what we know about how the brain really works. They work for only a small number of students, and they leave the rest of the students undereducated and undermotivated. No wonder that most people leave school determined never to submit themselves to that sort of learning situation again. However, with accelerated learning, it's all different. When you practice accelerated learning techniques and learn the way you are uniquely designed to learn, you will be able to absorb and retain huge quantities of information. You will amaze yourself and everyone around you. In closing this session, here are the 6 principles upon which this course, and perhaps the whole rest of your life,